Good evening and welcome to Open Line. We are here talking about Ask the Attorney, and none other. We have Mr. Kevin Kennedy with the Kennedy Law Firm.
Well, I'm glad to be with you tonight.
I'm so excited. So I'm really excited because, I'm just like, with work-wise, you just get so bogged down. You're like, oh gosh, I got to do Open Line. I'm like, who am I? Who's the guest tonight? And they were like, it's Kevin Kennedy. I'm like, what are we talking about? And they're like, law, legal stuff, legal jargon.
Is, these personalities on TV, I've seen you so much all the time, you feel like it's really a privilege and a blessing to get to go into the homes of everyone. Right. And we're right there when you're eating cheeseburgers and French fries and just really taking it all in. So we all keep it in the family.
Needless to say, I'm excited already. Yeah. And before we really delve into this topic, I just wish you wore the gold suit. I just wish you wore the gold jacket. So he is rocking some I'm going to call them flashers right now. It's just
a lot of flash going on. Well, I just shared with him, I just came from a big red carpet event, and they were really bedazzled all through there, so it was fun. Yeah. But I wanted to get over here and rush so that we could do this show together.
What? I am with you there. It's been a busy news week to be, as a matter of fact. But it seems like we already have calls. Yes. So ask the attorney, guys. The number is on your screen. Don't hesitate to call. And really, if you just want to know more about his getup and just the bling that he is hiding, feel free to call us. So I believe we already have Chris calling us. Hey, Chris, good evening. What is your question?
Hi there. Quick question.
Sure.
My college-age daughter has rented an apartment and shares a lease with someone else.
Okay.
The other person has moved out, will not pay her part.
Yes.
The apartment complex is saying that she's got to come back and sign a paper to get herself off the lease. She refuses to come sign the paper. So is there any legal recourse for my daughter to get the lease in her name and get the other person off? Okay,
we hear this all the time. I'm sorry that's happened to your family, but the truth is so many people don't have the maturity level at that time to understand when you and I rent this apartment, we are jointly and severably liable for that. What does that really mean? That means that she's on the whole lease, the other girl's on the whole lease, and there's really not much you can do about it. Now, you can say there was a verbal agreement between the two of us that we were to split that. Of course, she could come back and say, you don't have it in writing, and I never agreed to that part. I signed this, but you were always going to. It gets down to an evidence question, and if it was a substantial amount of money, your daughter may have to file a general sessions lawsuit against her friend and pursue it. And of course, if your daughter didn't pay her, she said, I'm going to pay my part. That's not the way it works. The way it works is when you sign it, you're going to be responsible for the whole thing. So what is the word to the wise? Know who we're going to go into this renting the apartments, and most young people never see it coming. They just feel like, and quite frankly, I've been in the rental business for 41 years now. Wow. And I'm still shocked when college-age people that are really good choose to say, hey, well, we're just going to move out. Well, then that always creates a problem with the rental companies that manage for me.
That's why I like to live by myself, just to avoid some headaches.
Yes.
I completely understand. I do want to ask you, actually, and someone that I did a story on earlier, and I'm not sure if you can even answer this.
All right, hit it. We'll try.
We'll try it. Because I got this message actually the other day. So there's a victim who was carjacked.
Yes.
The car was obviously stolen, eventually found by police. Car is going to be given back to this person, the victim. Yes. It's obviously in the towing business, but they have to pay for it.
Yes.
Is that, I guess, is that the process?
That is the process. If you own property, you're going to be responsible for it. The towing company would say, hey, we towed the car in, somebody needs to pay us for our fee. And they have what's known as a priority lien or a mechanic's lien. So they said you're going to have to satisfy that. And of course, if it's you and I and they got your Mercedes, we're going to pay that fee to get the Mercedes back. Now, is it a crime against the state? Yes, they stole a car. You're a victim. And could you prosecute the person who stole it if they can catch them. As part of their punishment, they could be required to pay you restitution. Damage to the car, damage to the interior, the windows, or whatever they did, and then that towing fee would also be on there. Now, the real world is most criminals have no money. Most
and
criminals,
I'm sure the person wants the car back.
Yes, and so if it's you and I, we're going to make a decision, and we're going to get our car back irregardless because we're responsible. If they left it, they could take it, foreclose on the mechanic's lien, sell it, and they really could turn around and sue you for all that storage.
Really?
But most people, well, if they took your car and got a title to it, they're satisfied.
So for the most part, it sounds like she would have to pay for it.
She's going to have to pay for it.
All right, I'm going to pass that message along. Thank you for that. All right, next caller. Hey, good evening. What's your question?
Yes. My question is, I was driving a car. The person had insurance, but they didn't have uninsured motorists.
Okay.
The person rear-ended me, and I know she was on her cell phone.
Okay.
She was looking down when she hit me, and I looked up in the rearview mirror.
Yes.
I want to know, she had no insurance on her car.
Okay.
I want to know if I can possibly, or is there such thing as a silver suit that I could file against her? I was injured.
Yes, ma'am. Here's the real world. That's a good point for everyone to hear. If you don't have uninsured motorist insurance coverage on your car, pursue it. It's just a little minor expense more to add it to your policy, and it could be the very thing that would protect you. Do you have a right to sue this person who ran in the back end of you? Absolutely. Can we get a judgment? Absolutely. That means we'll win the lawsuit. So now, can we collect it? Obviously, so many people who are irresponsible and have no insurance, they usually have no money, they usually have no property, and so that might be a dead-end street. Let's just say that they did have a job. If they did, you could sue them, garnish their wages, about 25% of what they make a week, and if they kept the job, we'd collect the money over a long period of time. And if they were irresponsible and said, hey, I owe too many people already, I'm going to file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, then you get nothing. You could file the lawsuit, get the judgment, go, and still never collect. Dismissed.
So what would you suggest to her if she was your
What
client?
I would suggest is you might talk to one of the lawyers and let them run an asset search on this particular person. And now we've got all kinds of forms. You run your name and they say, well, they've got a house that's paid for in their name. They have 2 houses paid. Well then, yes, I definitely say pursue it and try to get your judgment. And if you do the search and there's no assets, do you really want to spend money on court costs, filing fees, service of process, going through all that expense to know you're going to come up short?
Gosh, we are just so early in this program already. I just want to squeeze all this information is clearly a sponge.
Well, the great thing about a show like this, so many people can learn and teach your children, teach your grandchildren.
Exactly.
And everyone has co-workers and they say, well, you know, I don't have money to pay the insurance. You shouldn't drive. Because, and here's one other side note, you could get their driver's license. In the state of Tennessee, if you didn't have insurance and there was a claim, they can revoke your driver's license, and then you wouldn't be able to get your license until you paid the restitution.
There we go.
So, but so many people are saying, hey, I haven't got a license now, I don't have a license, I don't have any money, can't get blood out of a turnip, go ahead and sue me.
Well, what's good to hear is that there are obviously some options. So
yes.
I just want to hit the lines again. It is blowing up right now.
That's all right.
All right, Sharon, thank you for calling. Sharon, what's your question?
Yes, I live in my mother's house.
Yes.
And she's been in the nursing home for 3 years.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering if anything happened to her, do I have to move out?
Okay. You know, a lot of people wait too long to get those things handled. The federal government, they have a rollback-in period, 5 years. So if your mother's home was paid for and your mother had to go to the nursing home, there can be a lien, a Medicare lien, placed on the home because it was paid for and she's receiving all these government services. So you say, wow, I didn't realize that. That's why this is important. Get the information, and if you see it coming down the road, mother has cancer or mother has a debilitating disease, we need to go talk to an estate planning lawyer before we get there.
It's
Because
not paid for.
Now, the home is not paid for?
No, we're paying for it.
Okay, and again, the government may come back and put a lien on her home. And so you really need to get her to do a will and make sure she leaves it to you. And then I'd go talk to an estate planning lawyer and see what you can get done.
How often do you hear a case like this?
All the time. Everybody's family members, because so many parents are not ready to sell their home, transfer their home. They think they're going to get better. This has been their life and we're going to ride it out, but really they're doing their family a great disservice.
Wow. All right, guys, we will hit the brakes for the break. For those who are on the line right now, make sure you stick around. We'll get to your questions soon. Again, if you have any questions, the number is right there on your screen. We'll have much more coming up after the break.